Good morning, everybody. We are live. Time to do this. We have so much to talk about. This is going to be, you're going to have to be patient. We're going to jump around a little bit today. There's just so much to talk about. Keeping it all straight and orderly and in place is going to be a challenge, but we're going to get it done. We're going to get it in. So let's dive right into it. Good morning, folks. You want to know what keeps me up at night? I mean, really keeps me up at night. There's two things. We've talked about one before. It is the backlash. How far does the backlash go? I'm not afraid of Trump. I'm not. And I'm not afraid of his bigot regime. Is it going to suck? Yeah, it is. Even a weak president can do terrible things, and they're going to. They are going to. This is a lame duck president on day one. He is going to grift. He's going to appeal to the worst in his base. All he has to do to keep grifting, to keep stealing money, to keep putting money in his pocket, I mean, is just keep that base together. And his base are made up of some of the worst people in our country. They just are. They're bigots. They're low information. They're the stupids we talk about. They are. So yeah, what worries me is what they're going to do to keep that base and how much the backlash is going to be against that. Because I got to tell you, angry, pissed off, desperate, large crowds of people are not the best. They're not the best decision makers. Let's just put it at that. Let's just put it at that. So yeah, it's not. I don't fear Trump. I don't fear his idiot regime. We're going to talk about some of the stuff they're doing today. They are already face planting. They are. This happened. This happened. Where are we? There we are. So and this is going to kill Trump because he is all about those ratings. He's all about those ratings. Yeah, the Trump inauguration, just from 4 years ago, and the Biden administration, his ratings are down 27%, folks. That's off a cliff. That is huge. That is huge. They were 20% lower than his own first inauguration in 2016. Now, the right wingers are trying to spin this already. They're like, well, no, this is a new era. We have the internet now. We had the internet in 2020. We did. we had the internet in 2020. C-SPAN absolutely would stream to the internet on 2020. Fox had, everybody, the internet wasn't invented this inauguration. No, people are already tired of it. They are tired of it. And think about for a second while we dig. I want to frame this way. I want you to think about how he got elected. You had people on our side that stayed home. They did. They stayed home. And I'm gonna get into that in more detail in just a little bit. He didn't win because he was wildly popular. The numbers he put up weren't incredible. This was as close to a 50-50 election as it gets. And I've said it over and over again. This is an election where everybody let the mask slip. Mask slip. Everybody let the mask slip. The billionaires went all in. Not just the billionaires. This also happened. This is the Columbia Journalism Review. The Columbia Journalism Review is a biannual publication. If you don't know about Columbia, Columbia University is the preeminent school for journalism. It is. It's in New York City. It is. This is when, you want to tout your resume as a journalist. They say, "Oh, where'd you go to school?" Columbia. So they have a biannual review, and the journalists love to talk in it. It is where you want to be published as a journalist. So they're talking. They are coming out, and they are. And if you're wondering where Columbia is, let's go to the map real quick. This is Columbia University. See New York City, Manhattan, the Park. You go off the Park. Columbia University is kind of spread around in this area. Swanky, nice place. It's a nice place. But yeah, so they did an article in the review, and yeah, talk about letting the mask slip. This is what White House correspondents were saying. This is how we got here, folks. They're whining because, and I've got some of it highlighted here. I'll read to you. They were complaining about the White House reporters. The Biden team preferred to offer background quotes from in-house experts. Boring. They made us do our job. They gave us real information from real experts. Boring. They made us think. No, really, they really are. These are real quotes of the Journalism Review. They said things like, for a lot of people, what was the point of even going? It's your job. You're the White House press corps. These are quotes from different folks that, when you see, the White House spokesperson standing up there at the podium, and these are the people they're saying is, what was the point of even going? All they did was let us talk to experts. But Trump, on the other hand, adores the attention of the media. Folks, they really said this. I'm quoting them. Trump adores the attention of the media. Despite his sometimes strident and sometimes even violent rhetoric towards the press, he loves talking to us. And his team, they like talking to us. They know that they're going to have a huge audience. Remember when we were talking, we talked about how, before every major interview, they take the reporter out for steaks and bottles of Merlot. And yeah, that's our White House press corps. Talk about letting the mask slip. They're bitching about the Biden administration putting them in touch with the experts on any given subject. But no, boring. They go on to talk about how they really like Trump because, when he was signing all those terrible executive orders, he let them hang out for 45 minutes and just chatted with them. It was great. So yeah, this is in the Columbia Journalism Review. This is when they're talking to each other. They don't ever think that anybody, you're not going to ever see this or hear this, but Texas Paul's here. So you did. That's who they are, folks. That's how we got here. That's how we got here. You had the billionaires that went all in, and then you had the corporate media just abdicating their responsibility. They're telling you themselves, we don't want to talk to experts on stuff. We want to sit with the president. We're special. I mean, he won't give us any attention. It's tabloid trash. That's what we have out of the corporate media now. That's how we got here. But it doesn't matter, folks. Realities come home. Realities come home. Going back to what we were talking about, the people who voted and who didn't vote, and how do we get here, and what does this stuff that's going on mean going forward? Because reality is what we care about. I mean, you had the few people that voted for Trump that weren't bigots. You listen to them, you listen to the exit review interviews, and they will tell you, I voted for the economy. Inflation's bad. Folks, this is what that looks like. This is when a president takes office, you have a brief honeymoon. And boy, is it brief. I'm about to explain why Trump is going to have none. It's over already. Day one. Honeymoon over. This is Trump's approval rating when he got elected back in 2016, took office in 2017. Boom, immediately plummeted. Elections, I keep telling you, we're headed towards backlash elections. These graphs are a pictorial of that. The elections took place when we had this backlash against Trump. That's why we did well. 2020, Trump never gained any ground, ever. By the end of his administration, in the toilet. That's normal. That's what happens, folks. That's what happens. Biden, same thing. Took office, boom, election time, backlash. It's a backlash. Same thing's going to happen here. Our job is to make that backlash as big as possible. And Trump is going to have zero honeymoon. His approval rating right now is already at 47%. He's underwater. He's below 50. In his honeymoon, he's below 50. As a reference, Biden took office at 55 and damn near hit 60 during his honeymoon period. Yeah, Trump's going nowhere. And we're going to talk about why. His disapproval rating is already at 41%. Already. He is one of the lamest of the lame duck presidents to ever hold office. And they badly miscalculated. Thank God. They badly miscalculated what the strategies would be that would win going forward. Because they're trying to break that narrative. Everybody tries. Here's the problem. You can't. And here's why. When you're the opposition party, nobody's looking at you. You're just standing out there and sniping. Nobody's judging you. Nobody's expecting anything from you. All you do is run your mouth. And if you say things that people like to hear, your approval rating takes off. Then comes reality if you get elected. And everybody's looking at you. And I want you to think about the people that voted for Trump. Let's talk about the worst of them, the bigots that voted for Trump. What did they want? They want Trump to hurt the people that they want hurt. And they're going to try. They're going to have Tom Homan do a weekly presentation that you're probably never going to see because it's going to play in the right-wing media sphere about how they're hurting the people they want hurt. But that's not the only place these bigots live. They got to go to the grocery store. Vincent, thank you for the support, my man. They got to go to the grocery store. They've got to live. And everything Trump is doing is nightmarish towards that. On top of it, there is a gigantic narrative of weakness building around Trump. There just is. We're going to get more into that in the future. But the things he's doing are not pleasing who he needs to please to keep his numbers moving the right way. They just aren't. And everybody's paying attention now. They're watching them. The spotlight is on them. And I told you, what did I tell you? They will screw up. They can't help it. They're inept. Guys like Pete Hegseth, I said there's a silver lining there. Is he going to do terrible things? Yep. What's the silver lining? He's a moron. He's going to fail bigly. He's going to be a disaster. Oh, thank you, Linda. I love you people so much. I love you. He's entering in as Warren G. Harding. Yep. I love that y'all even know who Warren G. Harding is. God, I love doing this show with you people. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. He has filled his little Marco is our Secretary of State. Ooh, there's some stature. We'll get into it. Let's dig into it. You get the point. People are looking, and this is what they're seeing. You know, the oligarchs shot their shot. The oligarchs have been living behind the scenes, the puppet masters, pulling the strings, writing the checks. This election, they've been drug into the spotlight. And everybody's looking at them, and this is what they're seeing. This is old Elon Musk at the inauguration. If you haven't seen this, it's gross.
Making it happen. Thank you. My making it happen. Thank you. My making it happen. Thank you.
Now, folks, even the bigots, a lot of them don't like to see that up front. Most of the bigots know to keep their bigotry and their sheer love of Nazism quiet. They just do that. They know. Most don't approve of these overt, because the people this appeals to are really unappealing, and they know it. And there's old Elon Musk trying, just dragging them to the forefront of ugliness, of nastiness. Again, mask gone, bigotry out in the open. Now they're trying to defend it, but folks, we know Elon Musk is the guy that bought Twitter, a fairly decent platform to be on, and then brought in a bunch of people who do that. A bunch of bigots, a bunch of nasty, Nazi, horrible people he flooded the platform with and was proud of it, called it free speech. But now they're running for the hills, man. Oh, he didn't do a Nazi salute. He did a Roman salute. That'll work for some of the stupids. Where did the Nazis get that salute from? It's from a painting depicting Romans saluting. Yeah, that's really where all the fascists in that era took it from. It was from a French painting that depicted the Roman, and it isn't even really accurate. I can't wait for Roy Casagrande. If you don't follow Roy Casagrande on YouTube, I don't know what you're doing if you like history. I love the way, I can't wait for him to dig into the fact that the Roman salute isn't really real. It wasn't really a thing. It was depicted in a painting, a French painting, and the fascists loved it. So they took it from there and pretended it was a Roman salute, and they were the new Reich, the new empire. And yeah, that's where it came from. So when they're saying it's a Roman salute, well, yeah, where do you think Hitler got it? I mean, where do you think he got it? Yeah, there you go. They will start calling it doing the Elon. That's a good one. I love the fact that they have coined a new phrase for Teslas. They're calling them swastikars. But yeah, they're really trying to say, they try to say, well, he's autistic. He didn't know what he was doing. He's awkward. Yeah. Do you know a lot of autistic people running around throwing Nazi salutes? No, that's pretty much an insult to autistic people. I mean, I guess if you go back and look at the Nazi era and see all of the pictures of crowds by the thousands throwing that salute, I guess there was just a lot of autism in World War II Germany. I don't know. Uncle Russ, too bad Trump can't leave like William Henry Harrison. Yeah, watch what you say, man. Watch what you say. We're doing good. Don't shoot yourself in the foot. Okay. We have to watch our narrative. We do. But I get your point. So yeah, they're trying to say, and you got to forgive me, this is going to be clunky. I got to go through Threads, and Threads has the worst media player of any platform. So forgive me. But yeah, they're trying to say this wasn't what we saw. And he did it twice. So yeah, it wasn't an accident. I don't know. What do you think, folks? See any similarities there? And y'all gave me hell for the Team Luigi Cup. Yeah, he does. Roy Casagrande is, to folks that like history, seeing Roy Casagrande's success has been just, he does a great job. He's got a YouTube channel. One of those I highly recommend to you. But yeah, but let's be clear about it. They're trying to say it's not a Nazi. It's bullshit. You know what you see. I know what I see. More importantly, this is what the Nazis see. They're pretty damn clear about what we just saw. This is old Nick Fuentes, little Nazi Nick Fuentes.
And then the straight up, like that was a serious Roman. It wasn't even like a subtle, like a wave, like one of these, like a Laura Ingraham. Remember when Laura Ingraham did that?
Yeah, I remember.
That was a straight up like Sig Heil, like loving Hitler energy. that was like a straight up with intensity Roman salute.
So yeah, and there's nowhere to hide. Yeah, tell me about it. Tell me. And they have no idea that a Roman salute, that's what Hitler was doing. That is a Roman salute. Yeah. So yeah, and the lights are on. No honeymoon for the Trump regime. None whatsoever. I told you, they're going to be this stupid. They are. They're going to be bad at all of it. And we're going to talk about a little of it. Let's go through. You have to forgive me. I have so many freaking tabs open. And here, this is another one that people are absolutely loving. This is Trump sitting at the National Prayer Breakfast. They don't know why he attended. I don't. But I want you to look at his face. I want you to look at J.D. Vance. Forgive me, this is almost a minute-long clip. For about the first 30 seconds, they're just deer in the headlights and processing what they're hearing. But then they hear what they're hearing. Look at their faces, and you will understand why they're going to fail so miserably going forward. It's who they are. And this is brought to us from Patriot Takes. They work with Midas Touch. Absolutely great follow on Blue Sky.
In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in
his face. What?
Democratic, Republican, and independent families.
J.D. Vance got it before Trump did.
Some
look at it. It's like,
who fear for their lives. And the people who pick our crops, and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meat packing plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals, they may not be citizens or have the proper
Trump
documentation.
just figured it out.
But the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals. They pay taxes and are good neighbors. In the name.
So yeah, I love that woman. I love that woman. You talk about balls. Just sat there right to Trump, to his face, and gave him a lecture on decency. Love it. Love it. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you, sir. Thank you. These are the kind of things that are happening. I thought everybody was supposed to be scared. You know, ooh, inevitable, strong people. Shayna Fayborg says, pay attention. These are the folks, these are the people Trump surrounds himself with because this is who Trump is. Yeah. And they can't help it. They can't help it. This is what they were going, what they did. Yeah, she did. She nailed it. And you have to forgive me. I'm having a brain lock. Somebody tell me her name again. Her name has slipped my mind, and it just kills me. I cannot bring up her name right now. Somebody, I know one of you folks know. Amazing job. Amazing. And this is what this is it. This is what you're going to see going forward. Corporate media be damned. And this is an important thing that I want to keep this in mind as we talk about this going forward. It used to be that the corporate media controlled the narrative. They don't anymore. They don't. They don't because of people like me, people like Midas, people like you who have figured out they're bitching because they're getting shown experts and they don't like dealing with experts on subjects. What do we need to talk to experts for? I mean, it's not like people would want expert information. They just want the tabloid stuff. But this is what we're looking at, folks. And if you haven't figured out what the narrative is, Trump is a lame duck and weak going forward. Now we're going to talk for a little bit about how bad it's going to be for him. And again, I'm not minimizing here. I am not. Pooh Picker-Upper says he pardoned the insurrectionist people so he could make a Gestapo for militias. Even that, yep, it's gross, and it hurts him greatly. He owns everything they do. We'll talk about that in a minute. We'll talk about that more in a minute. But yeah, back at it. Things like this keep happening, and they can't keep it undercover. My man, Doug Emhoff. I told you how much I love Doug Emhoff. I do. I really like the guy. Y'all remember Deb Fisher's husband, Bruce Fisher, when Kamala Harris was swearing her in? She turned to Bruce Fisher, Deb Fisher's husband. She shook Deb Fisher's hand and congratulated her. Turned to Bruce Fisher because he was the one holding the Bible, her spouse, went to shake his hand, and he's like, no. Well, Deb Fisher was on the Inauguration Committee, and Deb Fisher's husband, Bruce, and her, because they're on the Inauguration Committee, were invited to the traditional tea. Do you remember there was a big, you history folks will remember this. There was a really big dust up when Eisenhower won. And here, let me see if I can find a historical for you. One second. Let's see if I can. It's not important. It's not important to the narrative. Anyways, do you remember at the end of the Truman presidency, he invited the Eisenhowers to the White House tea, or actually it was coffee, because they were going to have coffee because they understood that Eisenhower didn't drink tea. He liked coffee. So they planned a White House coffee, and Eisenhower wouldn't come. He wouldn't come. It was one of the rudest things that Eisenhower ever did, because it's supposed to show the country that transition of power. This is why they were having this tea. It wasn't because they all wanted to break bread together. And to Truman's, credit, he was smart enough to understand that these things matter. It matters. A transition of power in our country matters. And he told Eisenhower, said, if you want to try to move in here while I'm still living here, you better show your ass up. Because I ain't leaving until we sit down and we have coffee. So Eisenhower, not wanting to relent and look weak, said, I'll meet you in the car. And pulled up to the side of the White House. And Truman and Mrs. Truman got in the car with Eisenhower and Mrs. Eisenhower, and they sat and they talked, and then they got out and left. One of the pettiest things you have ever seen. It really was. True story. Look it up. So they're at the T. Deb Fisher is on the inauguration committee, so she gets an invite. Bruce Fisher, her husband, attends with her. Bruce Fisher walks up to shake Doug Emhoff's hand. And Doug Emhoff says, no. What makes you think I would shake your hand? Why would you try to shake my hand after you disrespected my wife? And apparently got a little heated, got a little stressed. But eventually Bruce Fisher apologized, and of course, being the good and decent people the Harrises are, allowed the tea to go forward. And, because this transition is important. It is. They didn't make it all about them. But kudos to Doug Emhoff for giving the old middle finger to Bruce Fisher and standing up for his wife. That is the difference between us, folks. That is, we are not the same people. I keep talking to you. Thank you, Sharon. I appreciate you. But good on Doug Emhoff. And that's the kind of thing that we're going to see over and over and over again that differentiates us from them. I am absolutely certain that Doug Emhoff and Kamala Harris did not want to sit down for that tea with those sorry ass people. I'm sure they did not, but they understood the importance of it. They understood the symbolism of it, and they did what they thought was the right thing. Versus people like the Fishers. And it's just everything that they're doing. Whew. Man, I hope your coffee is as good as mine. Mine is killing it this morning. This is some good stuff. Y'all have been so generous about the coffee y'all send. I'm telling you, I haven't bought coffee in months, man. And I'm telling you, y'all keep sending primo stuff too. This is that butternut stuff. Whew. I am grateful. Thank you. But everything they do has just got an ugly taint to it. Day one, Trump threatens Greenland again. The Republican, Oglesby, I think it is, put a bill forward to annex Greenland. And I want to thank our Danish audience. I want to thank our European audience, period. Our global audience. Your input in the chat is hugely important. And it makes me so proud to be able to celebrate you folks and what you do, because after running his mouth about Greenland again, and this is what I want to tell you, Trump's weakness matters. This is the way people are responding to him. He threatened to annex Greenland. And in the European Parliament, the Danish representative, a guy by the name of Anders Vistisen, had this to say about it.
Dear President Trump, listen very carefully. Greenland has been part of the Danish kingdom for 800 years. It's an integrated part of our country. It is not for sale. Let me put it in words you might understand. Mr. Trump, fuck off. Dear President Trump, listen very carefully. Greenland has been part of the Danish kingdom for 800 years. It's an integrated part of our country. It is not for sale. Let me put it in words you might understand. Mr. Trump, fuck off. Dear President Trump.
So, yeah, that just happened on the floor of the European Parliament. Mr. Vistison, I want to, if you're in Denmark, if you could please send word from old Texas Paul. Tell him I said thank you. It is just an elaboration of what everybody's response to Trump is. He is so freaking weak, and everybody knows it. And there's going to be consequences for it, not good consequences either. We'll talk about that at the end. Let's talk about where we are first, and then we'll talk about where we're going. By the way, Mr. Vistison was censured because on the floor of the European Parliament, it is inappropriate to use that kind of language. And they did censure him for saying that. Although when they did censure him, they did say that, look, none of us like the guy, but you can't talk that way. I'm not kidding. I'm not making it up. That is literally how they censored him. They got it. They took the days and they stood up and they said, okay, look, none of us like this guy. Yeah, he's a jerk, but you can't say stuff like that. Oh my God. AJC says, sorry for the off topic, but I got to ask, light roast or dark roast? I tend to not like dark roast that much because most places don't do it right. And that's why I've said the Pete's, oh my God, Pete's nails it. I will answer your question. I will stop and answer your question. Dark roast shouldn't be burnt beans. It shouldn't be. You know, when you caramelize onions in a pan, some magic happens, you know, but you can just flat out put onions under blowtorch hot heat and just burn them. That's what a lot of people that make dark roast do, especially the cheaper coffees out there. And time is money. Pete's has figured out, take your time, roast them, caramelize them, don't scorch them, and you get those caramelized dark roasted beans, and it's not all sour, it's not all bitter. You can actually still taste the freaking coffee. So yeah, I like a good dark roast. I tend to drink medium roast because, you know me, I'm a cheap bastard. I'm a cheapskate. For myself, I don't go buy a lot of high-end coffees. I've got a couple treats that I buy me every once in a while, but you generous people have been sending me this great freaking dark roast, and it is outstanding. I hope that answers your question. But yeah, just the things Trump's doing on day one are not what the people that elected him, even the ones that voted for him, are really looking for. They're there for A, the bigotry, and B, they really want something done with the economy. And everything Trump is doing about the economy is going to make it worse. And the lights are on him. He did this. Trump officials ask U.S. health agencies to pause external communications. Yeah. He is asking our government health agencies that we pay for. I'm not bougie. I will tell. Pre-ground is nice. I do, but I like beans because I like to be able to grind them. When you can control the grind, you can control the flavor. And different beans from different places are going to be different, whether they use Sumatran or Colombian or what their blend is, or you know what I'm saying. If you grind your own, if you want it a little stronger, you grind it finer. If you want it a little bit, if you need to tone it down a little bit of a coarse grind, you know, you can control it if you've got beans. So I like beans. Sorry about that. I know. It's called Coffee with Texas Paul. We are having coffee, right? You do have coffee. I'm out, but you do have coffee, right? I would hope that your coffee is at least as good as mine or better. But yeah, this is not what people wanted. Now, there's the anti-vaxxers. Like I said, you've got that hardcore in there. that want terrible things. That want terrible things. Look at you, old bougie. Corey here, Kona is the best. Yeah, there is, but it ain't cheap. Good Lord. Pound of Kona costs more than my first car. Might as well be drinking Kopi Luwak. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Kona's from Hawaii. Great coffee. I agree with you. Kona is amazing. Cecilia Coleman, at this time, to our world friends, sorry for this mess we're in. Yeah. We're going to talk a little bit about what it means to the world and where we're going in just a minute. I want to finish talking about some of the stuff that dumbass is doing. Now, you've got that hardcore anti-vaxxers. They're going to be happy about shutting down communications from the government. But most, even the bigots, are not all about, hey, let's thank you. Are not about, hey, let's shut down our government and stop the World Health Organizations from communicating with us, about things like, I don't know, bird flu. Didn't go away. It's still happening. But now our government is not informing us. That information's done. Remember back when COVID happened? And they said if you just stop testing, we'd stop seeing bad numbers. Yeah, this is the real world implementation of that, which is not what people wanted. It's just not. Shadowette 1950, speaking of health, did you know that Cecile Richards? Yeah, I did. On Inauguration Day. If y'all don't know who Cecile, everybody knows who Ann Richards is. Her daughter Cecile was amazing. She was a tremendous force for good here in the state of Texas. She was the head of Planned Parenthood at one point. Just an amazing all-around person. Died of an aggressive brain cancer on Inauguration Day, and we are poorer for it. But yeah, I did know that. I did. Thank you for reminding me. This is, boy, talk about taking the wind out of your sails. Whew. She was a good person. She was an all-around good person. She really was. But yeah, Trump did this. And again, all you folks that were your Gaza people, this is a big to you. Leaving the World Health Organization. And again, this is another expression of how weak Trump is. He signs an executive order and says, we're out of the World Health Organization. Well, let's start with what the World Health Organization is. It's part of the United Nations. And what it does is it helps, like say when we have COVID, it helps make sure that the poorest nations among us can get their hands on vaccines so that we don't end up having a Spanish flu type situation all over again. That's what they do. They're also, again, I love rubbing the Democrats are terrible over Gaza when we were the only people that actually gave a shit about what was happening in Gaza. I love rubbing your face in this, but the World Health Organization is the organization on the ground that has been helping the Palestinian people. And now we're not in it. Good job with that vote. Good job with the telling people to stay home. Good job with running all over TikTok and having those circular firing squads when you didn't know a damn thing about what you were talking about. Good job. Good job. David McKinney, thanks, Texas Paul. I watch your show every day. Thank you. But yeah, here's why, again, it's just going to show how weak Trump is. They're suing. They're going to sue. Trump said, we're out. We're not paying you anymore. We're not anything. Well, guess what? It was a ratified treaty through Congress. You can't. There are rules and laws that we signed on to. One of which is when you want to leave the World Health Organization, it is a 1-year process. And during that 1 year, you must pay up on all your back dues. So they're going to sue the Trump administration. It's going to be a humiliation, and they're going to win. And Congress is going to have to step in and actually remove us. If we ever do get removed, which I don't see happening, it's just going to be another weak humiliation for Trump. He can't even bully a charity organization like the World Health Organization. Everybody is raising the middle finger at him. I hear you, Amy. I hear you. Why did Biden have to say welcome home smiling? That was a bit much. Yeah. Everything they do is negative. It's nasty. People are already tired of it. There you go, Pat. There you go. I love the fact that when we have a conversation that you folks, and I'm sorry, folks that are new here, you're going to see me looking down a lot. I'm reading your comments. This is a real live show, and you are really part of the conversation, like old Pat here. Absolutely. Insulin is going to spike again because that is another one that Trump just did that is not what the people that voted for him signed on for, not to mention the people that didn't bother to show up. They didn't sign on for any of that. Not to mention every Democrat. Remember, it was almost a 50-50 election, 35% to 34%. I mean, none of them signed on for this nonsense. He is a weak, lame duck president right away, and they're doing everything they can because they're too stupid to understand. They're bullies. They think, act tough. And what they don't realize is they just look weak. They are weak. And all you're doing is you've erased your honeymoon. You know, pause for a second. The Anti-Defamation League, when we were talking about Elon's, I'm not going to do it. They came out with a statement where they tried to talk about, it was honeymoon language. Because typically there's a backlash against you if you're too negative during the honeymoon period. Even Hakeem Jeffries came out and issued the typical, Democrats, we're the grown-ups in the room statement about how we're going to work with those that have like objectives and yada, yada, yada. The message nobody wants to hear. But he did it because it was the honeymoon period. It's what you do. The Anti-Defamation League, when they saw that blatant Nazi salute, exactly, they soft-pedaled it. They did. It was a confusing gesture. Were you confused? I wasn't confused. The Nazis weren't confused. Yeah. Now, compare the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, with, like, say, the ACLU. And I will tell you, I'm glad the ACLU exists, but talk about an organization that will make your blood boil. Some of the stuff they defend, that you're like, why? Why are you in this lawsuit? Why? And they'll tell you every time it's because if we can defend this lawsuit that makes your blood boil, that you think is the stupidest thing on the face of the planet and you don't agree with, if we can defend their liberty, then your mainstream liberties are safe. The ACLU hasn't taken a step back, but the Anti-Defamation League, what a waste. What a waste of a reputation. But yeah, this is what the World Health Organization does. Again, just so that you can see, one of the programs is they immunize people in third world countries, countries that don't have the money to buy the immunizations. They pool everybody's resources together and make sure that in a situation like COVID, that we kept having resurgences and resurgences and resurgences, and we couldn't stop it because people would travel and then they would come back with a new variant that we weren't used to, and then it would cause newer variants to morph and newer variants. The World Health Organization was part of the major movement to get vaccines set up worldwide so that we could finally tamp this shit down and reopen everything. But when Trump says no, bad, can't do that. This is also happening. This is another one that I just don't think that I just know people are not signed on to this. This is not what they want. Oh yeah, I know, Jeanette. I do. I know. And this is not a guy that I would break bread with or have but he understands. Even the far right are like, no, this, that's what I'm saying. You're making my point. This is across the spectrum, not what people were looking for. There's going to be no honeymoon. I can't stress that enough. Trump has ordered the Justice Department prosecutors to probe local efforts to obstruct immigration enforcement. What this comes on the heels on, again, expressing how weak Trump is, you have governors and mayors that have gotten together and they're suing Donald Trump over immigration. They're like, you cannot force us to be the federal government. You cannot force us to be the enforcers of immigration, and you are not entitled to our infrastructure at will. Just because you choose your agenda to come in and go after immigrants doesn't mean that we have to blow our budgets up and change all our priorities to suit you. You are the federal government. We are not. So what is Trump's reaction to that? Prosecute them. Go find a way to prosecute them. And that is not the kind of abuse that is going to win him friends and favors outside that little core. And you have to remember that little nasty baked potato of evil shrinks over time. He's just pushing everyone away with one thing after another after another. Again, the anti-woke stuff. Who is this for? This is going to lead to lawsuits. This is going to lead to people suing. He takes everybody and he throws them out on paid leave. The paid leave is going to stop because they're just going to willy-nilly fire everybody. Anybody that is part of DEI in any department has been put on paid leave. Here's the thing. Those are people that work in human resources. They don't just work for DEI. There is no department of DEI. It is just one subset of things that human resources does. So when you furlough these people, when you put these people out on their asses, said, here, take you, we'll keep paying you, but don't come to work. Eventually that's going to run out. And here come the lawsuits. That's another one. Cat Paladin, thank you for the comment. I'm so happy to be with you folks. These conversations are priceless. Going forward, we need as many people as possible in here having these conversations with us. This is how we win, folks. This is how we win. Yeah, there was no law that said you couldn't raid a church. There was no law that said you couldn't raid a school. Now you're going to have the optics going forward of immigration and naturalization raiding churches and raiding schools. Can someone explain to me, other than the core bigots, who that doesn't turn off? Thank you for the support, Brenda. I appreciate you. MKD1 will use that to justify running again, which he's already talking about, but he'll cite the resistance to him as reasons run. Won't matter. Won't matter. Because remember, between here and there, between a cup and a lip, there's many a slip, folks. There really is. We have a midterm in under 2 years, folks. Next year will be an election year. It doesn't matter. Trump is weak and done. Lucky Star 888. Trump is going to go after the Episcopal Church, who put out a bulletin saying that they are a safe haven for immigrants and the LGBTQ plus community. Yeah. Imagine the optics of that. He's trying to bully people and say, oh, be scared, be scared. And he's doing stuff like this because he thinks it intimidates people. It doesn't. It doesn't. He parted all, just said, fuck it, release them all. And Republicans are like, oh, certainly you don't mean the least nutty, least disgusting Republicans. We're like, certainly you don't mean the one, the guy that put the taser in the cop's throat. Not him, right? No, yeah, pardon them all. Pardon them all. That includes Enrique Tarrio, the head of the Proud Boys, a violent organization. Of course, you've got old Elmer Fudd here. Head of the Oath Keepers militia. Already out. And they're dumb enough to think that intimidates us. No. It's just, you're going to own every miserable, lousy thing these people do. And just like Elon Musk, they can't help it. They can't help it. And I'm going to bring it to you on a silver platter and say, look what Trump did. That's why that chart looks like that, folks. Remember the chart we looked at with everybody's approval ratings? That's why they look like that. Because when you're governing, everybody's looking. Everybody's looking. And of course, weakness on full display. What did Trump tell you about tariffs? What did he tell you over and over and over and over again about tariffs? What was he going to do? Going to be tough on Mexico. Going to be tough on Canada. Put tariffs on everybody. Put tariffs on China. Day one, we're going to do it. Yeah, no, we're not. No, we're not. You know how like Trump used to say, yeah, in 2 weeks, we're going to have our infrastructure plan. In 2 weeks, we're going to have our healthcare plan. In 2 weeks, and 2 weeks, and 2 weeks, because he knows the stupids have the memory capacity of a goldfish. Yeah, the tariffs are going to be coming in February now. I'm going to be tough. You better negotiate with me. Pounces Human says Trump is going after Bishop Buddha, who called him out. She humiliated him on live TV. Yeah, great optic, right? Great optic. Great optic. Yeah, we're not getting those tariffs. We're not. Actually, you know what though? This is my thought on it, okay? We may actually end up with the tariffs. Because just like our Danish MP, everybody's response to his tariff threats have been, do it. Do it. China's response has been, oh man, this trade war is going to suck, but if we got to do it, okay, we're ready. Canada, talk to our maple flavored friends here. Where's my Canadian people at? Where are my Canadian people at? I know you're here. I know you're here. We've got lots of Canadian friends here. You email me all the time. What did Canada say? There's Kathy. There. Canada said, oh, this is going to suck, but okay, let's do it. And by the way, everything's on the table. Nobody's going to kiss your ass. That's literally what Canada said. They did. Barbara, thanks for the support. I really appreciate you. I really do. I couldn't do it without you. Yeah, E.T., my man, E.T. in the house. It's now going to be either concepts of tariff or tariff week. Yeah, that's exactly what we're looking at. But here's the thing. I keep talking about Trump is so weak and everybody is so just giving him the middle finger that we may actually get the tariffs. I mean, everybody is telling him, don't do it. All of his billionaire donors are like, nope. And by the way, your whole immigration thing, nope, don't do it. Don't do it. Let me put a pin in that. Kern County, California. Now, we've talked about the problem with Customs and Border Patrol. We have. They have a huge culture problem. They are massive Trumpers. They are massive Trumpers. They really do not like Democrats. They're very anti-immigrant. It is, once you spend enough years in the Customs and Border Patrol, they all come in bright-eyed and we're going to help people and do the right thing and yada, yada, and then they turn into what the culture makes them. So Trump's coming into office 3 days before he comes into office. One of the guys that runs the division out in California, I'm going to make Trump proud. I'm going to make him proud. Watch what I do. And they had a big sweeping raid around Bakersfield in Kern County and arrested a bunch of farm workers. Notice that didn't make the news. You notice Trump is not, woo-hoo, yeah, we're going to make you safe. You notice how that just disappeared, pardon the expression, but disappeared like a fart in a hurricane? Because the second that happened, all those big daddy donors picked up the phone and said, what the hell are you doing? Because the response to that raid was the immigrants stopped coming to work. The ones that didn't get picked up. They just called and said, boss, I know I'm not going to get deported. I'm not coming to work. Call me when the raids are over. Yeah. That's what we're looking at. They're going to have their little spectacle. They're going to build their Nazi-style camp down here in Texas. And they're going to have Tom Homan on TV. And he's going to talk about, ooh, I got this bad guy. 1 out of 330 million people. They found a bad guy. And they're going to spend tons of our money recreating a duplicate system duplicate of a system that already exists within the government, just so that system can write them checks and they can have their spectacle, but they're not really going to deport a lot of people. They aren't. They're going to try to put the show on for the bigots, but guess who's going to bring you the numbers? Guess who's going to talk about what's really happening? Angie dear, new here. Nice to meet you, Paul. Glad to have you. Have advice for someone who wants to start a progressive channel? I was raised to stand up to Nazis. I'm ready. Talk. This ain't easy. If you've never done it, start talking. You have to literally talk for an hour and a half to 2 hours on multiple subjects, and you've got to know what the hell you're talking about. Don't bullshit people. You want to do this? Do it. Not everybody can. It's not easy to sit and talk for hours on end, but you'll learn. If you really want to do it, you'll get it. That's my advice. And there's no shortcut to it. There's a lot of people that try it and realize, damn, I'm not getting the love that I wanted, and this is a lot of work. You want my advice? Talk. Oh, man, that coffee is hitting so good this morning. I hope your coffee is as good as mine. I really do. This just happened. Tell me who the market for this is. And when I ask you this question, I'm asking you this question. Trump just rescinded the executive order issued by President Biden to lower prescription drug costs for people in Medicare and Medicaid. He did that. He really did. A lot of his executive orders were just rescinding Biden's executive orders, and the executive order they were using to lower prescription costs in Medicare and Medicaid, Trump repealed it. Gone. Somebody tell me who the target market for that was. Who does that play well with? Brian Peace, thanks, man, for the report. I appreciate you. From Canada, Trump is going to be isolated by himself. He could be very spiteful because he is a dangerous toddler. Excellent point, and you are dead on. I am not selling you candy-coated pie in this. I'm not Willy Wonka. I ain't sugarcoating shit. Even a weak president can do awful shit. It's a lot of power, and elections have consequences. And I'm hoping there's a lot of people out there that are freaking learning. There's going to be a lot of pain to help you learn. These things are really happening, and we cannot stop most of them. And the ones we do stop, it's going to be with great pain. It's going to be a lot of fighting. And that is not going to please a lot of people. Jeremy Breeden, hey, all, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, my man. Thank you for the support, Jane. I appreciate you. Bingo Peg, pharmaceutical companies, and everybody just loves when the pharmaceutical companies, and I don't have my Luigi mug anymore. Everybody loves when the pharmaceutical companies do well, right? I mean, that's what we wanted, right? That's what the bigots voted for. That's what the MAGA dumbasses voted for. Woo! Trump and the pharmaceutical companies. Baby, we got this. We've got this. And I got to tell you, even the Democrats are figuring it out. This is from Hakeem Jeffries. I told you. Oh, it's painful. When Democrats do, and you know me, I'm not shit talking to Democrats here. I understand why they do it. They have to be the grown-ups in the room. They do. But when they do that grown-ups in the room shit, it is like nails on a chalkboard to me, because we are looking for an opposition party right now. And it looks like Hakeem Jeffries has figured that out, because his social media output went from, we're going to do what we can, find like-minded people to pass it, and all that's gone. All of his posts are like this now. There are several of them out there. This isn't the lone one. This is just an example. House Republicans are celebrating pardons issued to a bloodthirsty mob that violently assaulted police officers on January 6, 2021. What happened to backing the blue? Far-right extremists have become the party of lawlessness and disorder. Don't ever lecture America again about anything. My man, Hakeem Jeffries. Amen, brother. Amen. More of that, please. More of that, please. And old Hakeem Jeffries ain't the only one that's chiming in. And our Danish friends aren't the only ones that's chiming in. Remember, we were talking, I'm sorry I told you we'd bounce around a little bit. Remember, we were talking about the threats against Greenland and Panama. Russia's chimed in about that. Yeah. Russia has officially put a statement out about Trump's threats about Panama that said, don't do it. Don't do it. Now, Russia wants us to be the ones to break the treaty because remember, I talked about the fact that Panama can't do what Trump wants. There's no, I'll give you a break on your rates because you're American, we like you. It is by treaty, everybody pays the same. That's the law. Panama can't change that. What Russia wants is for us to break that treaty. But they don't want us to control the canal again because Russia needs that canal. They don't want us to have strategic control over that. They like the neutral nature of it. They just want to be able to blackmail Panama just like we are. That's what they're looking for. So they've chimed in and said, no, sir. No, sir. Keep your hands off that Panama Canal. And why do they want us to keep our hands off the Panama Canal? BRICS. The B in BRICS. We talked about that trade group. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa formed a trade group together. The B is Brazil. How does Russia ship to Brazil? Everything on the east coast of Russia, where all their timber and whatnot is, all of, this, all their, not timber, that was the wrong thing to say, but yes, they do ship timber out from that from the east coast, but that's not what Brazil was. Brazil's swimming in timber. But all of the minerals and all the products, those rail lines all head to the east coast of Russia, where they are shipped out through the Panama Canal. Yeah, Russia doesn't want us to have strategic control of that canal at all. Peg, thank you for the support. He's going to piss off everyone, right, left, and in between. That's what I'm telling you, folks. Great summary. Is Russia that big a threat? No. No. And thank you for the segue to my summation. What does it mean going forward? We're talking about all these things. You're paying attention to them. I'm paying attention to them. Trump is looking incredibly weak. What does it mean going forward? Well, it depends on what you're asking. It means this century going forward is either going to be a European century or a Chinese century. Because just like Russia humiliated themselves and destroyed that air of inevitability that they used to have. Remember, it used to be, oh my God, don't let the Russians invade, please. Now it's like, God, they suck. They can't even beat Ukraine. To be afraid of Russia. We're seeing that exact same thing with us. We've always enjoyed a privilege here in the United States because we spend more than anybody else in the world, basically combined, on our military. And everybody used to like the fact that, yeah, we were like the world cops, and there was some stability to that. Well, Trump's ending that. Everybody has raised the middle finger at us. What are you going to do? Panama's not scared. Panama knows if we take their canal, they will murder us wholesale. We will have to live in Panama. We won't be able to control it. The terrorists will shut it down. That's what's going to happen. Nobody's afraid. We're losing that air that we used to have. And it's going to get worse, folks. I'm telling you, even weak presidents can do terrible things. What's the point of the tariffs? It's not even good trade policy. It's about destabilizing our currency. There's a movement. There is. I mean, I'm loath to call them an intellectual movement. If you're not into history and politics constantly, you probably don't even know these people exist, but they do. And the oligarchs, the broligarchs, the folks that are funding all of this nonsense, they're part of this group. They look back at an American, and this is why Trump keeps talking about this. Oh, we used to be great before we had an income tax. All our money used to come from tariffs, and that's a lie. It's a lie. But it's the lie they keep telling themselves. And we used to be great when our currency was worthless. Yeah, they're actively working to destabilize our currency. You know how China used to keep the yuan artificially low? Basically, it gave them trade advantage. It made their products cheaper. Well, what they needed was they needed a lot of people at work. It didn't make life good in China. Strong currency would have done that. A strong US dollar is what makes your life good because we import so much. If you have a massive unemployed workforce, you want a weak currency because it makes everyone want to buy your goods. They're cheaper to everyone else. We don't have that problem. We're not the world's factory. We deal in very high-end, specialized things. We innovate. We create new. That's what America is. Whether it be pharmaceuticals, metallurgy, anything. We're not the factory floor. We have not been for decades. But we do make really incredible stuff that China loves to steal. They do. They steal our crap all the time. We're seeing it right now with the innovations in quantum computing and AI, and all these things are coming out of America. But they'll be global soon. Do you understand what I'm saying? A weak currency does not help us because we do not have a massively unemployed workforce like China. That weak currency in China was not a good thing for the Chinese people, except for one thing. It meant their goods were cheap, lots of factories, and a billion people can work. Same thing with India. These oligarchs have this delusion in their head that if they can just get back to us having a weak, destabilized currency, and we can get rid of the income tax, we'll go back to their Valhalla of when America was great. And it wasn't great. It sucked for people like you and me. It really did. Yeah, a small handful of people made a lot of money. But no, it wasn't a great time. And Trump buys into that. And as he does things and makes things more expensive, destabilizes our currency, we're going to make them pay. And we're going to make this backlash election. We're going to make that chart you saw, that approval rating chart, look like a straight crash. That's what we're going to do. We're going to keep pointing out every shitty thing that Trump does. We're going to keep pointing out how it hurts everybody that stayed at home. That's why you're going to hear me. I'm going to smack you Gaza bros in the mouth so many times until you never want to stay home again. Randy Oliver, China is playing the long game and is now partnering with our neighbors. Exactly. That's why I love you people. You finish up what I'm going to say before I even get there. Gene Lane, how about Bishop Marianne Buddha? And he wants an apology. No way. Yeah, we were talking about that, man. That was something else. Thanks for the support, Deb. I really appreciate you. But yeah, this is what, talking about the things earlier that keep me up at night. This destabilization of America, our loss of prestige in the world, that's hard to recover. You don't get that back overnight. And our allies, like our maple flavored friends, guess who they're working with and why they're not panicking about a trade war with us? Calling for the fact bat, huh? Keep it with me all the time. Canada is working with China. They are. Europe has flat out told us, go ahead and do what you're going to do, Trump. We will work with China. We don't need you. We don't need you for investment. We don't need you for manufacturing. We don't need you. Russia is not a threat. That era is over. And that's what we're looking at, folks. With the dumbest administration, the weakest administration this country may have ever had. That is what we're going into. And that's why we've got to be very careful going forward. You're going to see some and I want you to be patient. You're going to see some Democrats. Our Surge 999. Thank you for always speaking the truth. A community like this creates hope in these scary times. That's what we're doing together. Bring as many people in as you can find. Anytime you hear somebody talking about they're scared or worried, bring them here. Now, I want you to be patient going forward. You know me. I am a ride or die. Where are my ride or die Democrats at? People have been very mad at John Fetterman. And I told you that's naivety, not he is not Kirsten Sinema. He's not Joe Manchin. Well, the heat got high enough that he sat down and he did an interview, and he told everyone flatly, I ain't no Joe Manchin. I'm a Democrat. I am working with the Democrats. I'm doing what I think is best as far as if I can find somebody with the same objectives. I don't care what and this is the naivety. I don't care what the letter is behind their name. If we've got the same objectives, I want to get it done. But I'm no Joe Manchin. I will not be hamstringing the Democratic Party on anything. But the messaging out of the Democratic Party in this time of instability, they're going to try to be the counterpoint. They're going to try to diminish how much of our reputation is destroyed in the world. So they're going to try to express, rather than being a rabid, dyed-in-the-wool opposition party that we all want, they're going to try to express this image to the world that they're the grown-ups and that there is a way back. And they're going to try to mitigate how much reputational damage happens during this administration. And that is, I'm going to be honest with you, it's not what I want. I don't think it's what you want. Am I wrong about that? I want somebody that's going to grab their freaking bat, and as they go low, they're going to jump in that damn ditch, and they are going to just go to work on those sons of bitches and fight. That's what I'm looking for out of the Democratic Party. But I'm just warning you now. Some of what you see out of the Democratic Party is not going to be that. It's going to be my friend across the aisle. Ugh. And I'm just explaining why. I'm not defending it. I think it's stupid. I think we would be better served being incredibly aggressive. Stymie Trump at every turn, everything we can do. But I'm telling you, there is a thought process within the Democratic Party, within Democratic circles. I have had pushback already saying somebody's got to be the grown-up in the room. You're going to hear that a lot. So yeah, that's what we're headed for. One last bit of warning. When asked how fascism starts, Bertrand Russell once said, first they fascinate the fools, then they muzzle the intelligence. Part one is over. That's how they got elected. The stupids. They fascinated the stupids. They told people that didn't understand economics that they were going to make it all better. And they told bigots that they were going to be able to live out their bigoted dreams, and they're not going to be able to. When that fails, it's going to be just like they're shutting down the communications on all our health systems. It is going to be shut me down. Eventually, they have to come at me. And people like me and Midas. They may take my platform away. They may blackmail Google and tell old Texas Paul can't be on YouTube anymore. It'll start with their local little jerk-offs, their little college groups, their Charlie Kirk college groups, mass reporting stuff, and they'll go that route first. But eventually, at some point, they're failing so badly. And again, this is the way oligarchs react. They're arrogant people by nature. They don't ever say, maybe we should stop. That conversation never happens. What they say is, we need to control the messaging. We can get this done if we just control what people hear and think. I know, let's buy X. I know, let's threaten Mark Zuckerberg until he put right now on all of the Zuckerberg-owned platforms, Meta-owned platforms. You are force-followed Donald Trump. If you're not aware, if you're on social media, you now, if you're on Meta, Instagram, Facebook, or Threads, you now follow Donald Trump. When you unfollow him, you'll be refollowed. This is real North Korea bullshit. The only way to stop it is you have to unfollow Donald Trump. They found a workaround. You have to unfollow Donald Trump on all three platforms. If you're on Instagram, if you're on Facebook, and you're on Threads, which most of us are on all the platforms, you literally have to unfollow him on all three platforms. And so far, that seems to be the only way to stop it. But that's, I'm sure, is a temporary fix. Meta will figure that out. Meta decided we must all follow dear leader. They're going to find a way to make that keep happening. The flip side of that is they're going to make sure I go away eventually. But I promise you this, till the day they drag me out of here kicking and screaming, it's on. It's on. I'm here with you. I'm here to fight it out. Thank you for all the support. Thank you for all you do. I hope your coffee is as good as mine. Hell, I hope it's better. Enjoy some Texas cities at night.